Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we're gonna go over my TBR, just my physical TBR, my online TBR. I counted for this video. I have 450 books slash like graphic novels on my online TBR. So right now, we're just gonna do the physical TBR. Today, we will be going over my 19 books on my TBR, which is such a low number for me. I'm so proud of myself. I've been on a book buying ban and I'm really getting that number down. We'll just go in alphabetical order by author last name. That's how I categorize all my books. That's how I categorize my TBR. It makes me feel happy to have things organized. So, like, not a caveat, but just something you should know about me since we're getting to know each other. I hate spoilers. I cannot stand spoilers. If you tell me what's going to happen in a book, I'm not reading it. If you tell me what happens in a show, I'm going to stop. When I was younger, when the dystopian was super popular for teenagers, my cousin told me what happened at the end of the Divergent series, and I stopped halfway through the first book, and I never went back. All that to say, when I talk about these books, I'm going to be very bare bones with it, because I don't want to spoil it for you, like I wouldn't want you to spoil it for me. Book number one is Minor Prophets by Jimmy Cajoles. I'll put that up there for you. This has a 3.76 rating on Storygraph. I use Storygraph, so that's what all my ratings are going to come from. I don't use Goodreads. Deal with it. So the kind of setup for this book is our main character, whose name I don't know. I checked the flap. His name is not in there as well. So sorry to that man. I don't know your name. But throughout his life, he's been plagued with visions. I have my script over here. If you're ever wondering why I'm looking over here, I don't want to do this one off the cuff, so I wrote a script. A peek behind the action. I guess I could have memorized this all, but that's a lot of stuff to memorize when I have a laptop. Back to our book. So this falls in the horror thriller genre, which is kind of outside my regular realm of reading, but I'm never gonna stop reading a book or not buy a book because it falls outside of a genre that I like. I am on a bad streak with horror novels being kind of disappointing for me, so I hope this one lives up to it. This is one of the few books that I actually did not buy for myself. My sister gave it to me. We do a book swap, or we're trying to do a book swap every year. And so this is the one she got me for last year. I'm very excited for what she gets me this year. The next one is The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros. Let's just see that one. So this has a 3.76 rating on Storygraph. This is another recent get. My roommates were getting ready to move, and they were like, "Seth, do you want do you want any of these books?" And I vaguely remember hearing really good things about this book, so I took it. And then I kind of, I looked up the generic plot. So the book is told through a story of vignettes, just about growing up in Chicago, and that's really all the book gives me, and that's all I really need to know. The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abida Ray. We'll let you take a look at it. Right now, this has a 4.39 stars on Storygraph, and a little backstory. I don't pick my book I just pick it out. I do a raffle system, so I have all my books written on pieces of paper. I put them in a little bucket and I pull them out. I usually pull 3, and then I pick the book I read next from there. So a little bit of theatrics because I am a very dramatic person. This book has been a bridesmaid so many times. I bought this probably 2 years ago at this point, and it's come up so many times and just has never been picked. As I'm finishing my TBR, I'm starting with the books that I have had on there for a long time, just because I don't think it's very fair to them to continue reading new books while they have been patiently waiting to be read by me. Now, books don't have feelings, but who cares? That's how I want to roll. I'm very sassy in this video. This book follows our main character, Adune, and she grows up in a Nigerian village, and her dream is to get an education. She wants to go to school, she wants to be a teacher, and she wants to help other girls. She wants to teach girls in school. She wants to open a school for herself. However, there are some paths in her way, as there are for many young girls in poverty for wanting to fill their dreams. But I am hoping that this is a hopeful book, because that sounds like a really nice premise to dream not only for yourself but for others as well. One of my most anticipated reads, Blood Marked by Tracy Dion. Legendborn was 5 stars. I think this will probably be 5 stars as well. I have no idea what this book is about or could be about. I could read the back, but I don't want to. I want to go in blind. This book has 4.39 stars on Storygraph. I do know that I am going to have to reread Legendborn before I read Bloodmarked. I did read Legendborn almost 2 years ago at this point, so I remember the vague details or like the big picture. I don't remember a lot of the details. So I will have a really fun time doing back to back for this. Another one that's been on my TBR for quite a while, Where They Burn Books, They Also Burn People, by Marcos Antonio Hernandez. This right now has a 3.68 on Storygraph. This book is a dual POV between modern day um, America, I believe, and the ancient Maya civilization. And the lens that Hernandez has chosen to tell the story through is through Christian missionaries for when the Spanish conquistadors came in and they just were converting everybody because if you weren't Catholic or Christian, you were going to hell. And then, I believe, showing it in the modern lens, how Christianity has become so ingrained in Latina society that it sometimes is maybe more hurtful than it is helpful. The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois by Honore Fannin Jeffers. This follows our main character, Eiley Per Garfield, as she heals herself while delving into the history of her family and their journey through the history of America with all of its ups and downs. It is a big old boy, and I respect that. I respect a big book. This has a 4.61 stars on Storygraph, so pretty high rating, higher than any book we've looked at so far. So I really am excited to dive into it. I did buy this book in 2024, so I don't imagine I'm going to get to it very soon. Um, but this is something I'm very excited to do. It's like when you plan a meal and you're like, ooh, Thursday's going to hit. I'm so excited to make that. That's how I feel about this book. If that makes if that makes any sense to anybody else besides me. Next up is another recent addition to my TBR, A Little Bit Country by Brian Kennedy. I saw this on TikTok. I follow it via Brian's TikTok. Hello, Brian, if you're watching. um, and he was like, "This is my gay love story that takes place at Dollywood, but like not Dollywood because of copyright things." And that was all that it took. And what a brilliant elevator pitch, too. This book has 3.84 stars on Storygraph, and again, I'm really sold. I love homosexuality. I love reading about it. I love reading about my gays, my lesbians, my trans brothers and sisters and siblings. I just love reading about our community, and I will do it any chance I get. Also, if there's a miscommunication trope in this book, I will throw it across the room. You will hear it from me. Probably not on YouTube, but probably on TikTok. So go follow me on TikTok, please. But if there's a miscommunication trope, I will rage. I think it's probably one of the laziest pieces of writing that you can do. And I will stand 10 toes down on that. We are swapping out boy kissing to girl kissing for Girls Like Girls by Haley Kiyoko. She has a 3.68 on Storygraph. This book was also an immediate buy. With the second Haley Kiyoko was like, "Oh, I'm writing a book called Girls Like Girls." I was like, "Okay, I'm sold." That's all I need to know. We all watched the music video. If you are, a very young millennial or very old Gen Z, we all watched that music video, and I was like, I didn't know you could do that. um, but it's YA, lesbians. Again, Miss Kyoko, I respect you. I love your music. If you put miscommunication in this book, we're going to have an issue. We are going to have an issue. Now, I know we're not supposed to have favorite children, but Yellowface by R.F. Kuang is my most anticipated read. I love her work. Babel is in my top 3 books of all time, and the Poppy War trilogy is just astounding. So I have super high expectations, and maybe that's why I've put it off for so long. But I have a feeling I know this is going to be great. I know this is going to be great. Harf Kwong is a brilliant writer. Right now, this has an even 4 stars on Storygraph, and Storygraph lets you choose the genres as well. I'll see if I can put it up here for you. And one of them is listed as thriller. Again, I don't know anything about this book. I think I know that it's a dark comedy, but like thriller really piques my interest of, Huh. I'm fascinated. And again, I know the basic premise. I think it follows two authors, one who is Asian, one who is not, but the one who is not is pretending to be Asian to sell books. Now, I do feel bad for the book that has to follow all of that praise, but I bought all these books because I really wanted to read them. So we have Twice a Quinceañera by Yamile Sayed Mendez, and this has a 3.36 stars on Storygraph. From my understanding, this seems like a second chance romance with yourself, and that is a really great hook to me. I imagine it's going to be, you know, those Nancy Myers movies where it's like a rich white woman who lives in the Hamptons and has a great cardigans and like discovers herself in the second half of her life. That's what I kind of hope this is, but she's not white. And also, as you can see, I have my Appa bookmark in, so I actually have started this book, but I'm like 10 pages in, so it's still to be read. And we have my only comic slash graphic novel that is still on my TBR, which is Fence Volume 6. This has 3 authors, so I do have to read them off. C.S. Pacat, Joanna the Mad, and Jonah LaFayette. I have read Fence Volume 1 through 5. It took me so long to find Fence Volume 6. I love this series. Right now, it's got a 4.38 stars on Storygraph, so that really excites me. The kind of hook for the whole series is we have a boy who is not very wealthy, but really loves fencing and is pretty good at it. Gets into this prestigious school that like has a great fencing program, and kind of being a fish out of water and dealing with difficult people, and do you mesh, and it is a slow burn. It's a very, very slow burn. But each comic is only like 100 pages, so you can truly breeze through them all in a day. I would, again, I'm excited for number 6. I would highly recommend 1 through 5 to you. And we have the final boss of Always a Bridesmaid, Never a Bride. I Will Die in a Foreign Land by Kalani Picard. This has been on my TBR for, I want to say 3 years at this point. It just, I feel bad for it. It just never comes up. Where like at least with A Girl with the Louding Voice would come up every once in a while. This has never come up, and I feel so bad for this book. Right now, it has a 4.13 rating on Storygraph, so pretty high in terms of all the books that we've looked at. And I know that this book takes place, I think, in different time periods, dealing with resistance in Ukraine and infighting in Civil War. Also, probably the biggest reason that I bought the book was because of the painting. This is a very depressing painting, but it is one of my favorites of all time. Now we have The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. This has 4.06 stars on Storygraph. In 2025, I am trying to read more classics. We all have goals for each year. Like I want to keep diversifying my bookshelf with Black, Asian, Indigenous, Latina authors. But I also am like looking for more classics as well, and hoping to find those intersections between diversifying and classical. So this is one that I was like, I think this might be on my alley. I like sad things. And I mean, Sylvia Plath, isn't she like the queen of being sad? Well, before Lana Del Rey. I was debating whether to do these 2 books at the same time, because while they follow the same person, and well, technically the same person, and take place in the same universe, I'm gonna do them separately just because they are so different. We have The Reckoning of Roku by Randy Rebay. This is Avatar Roku's novel. I assume he's going to get a second book as well. Each of the other avatars have gotten 2. Right now, this has 3.94 stars on Storygraph. And I gotta be honest, I don't know why this book was written. I'm sure it's good. However, we have seen Roku's life. I mean, we saw the broad strokes of his life, but I'm not. What else is there to dig up? Because if we're just gonna watch him master the 4 elements, we've seen that before. We saw Aang master the 4. We saw Korra master airbending and like the spiritual side of being an avatar. So we've seen that from an avatar, unless him and Sozin just like make out. Which honestly, I really hope so. Randy Rebay, please make these boys kiss. We all saw it. We all know it. Make them kiss. And my last book on my TBR is The Legacy of Yang Chen by FCE. I have loved FCE's work with the Kyoshi novels. I didn't fall in love with the first Yang Chen novel, but I do have hopes because I really like seeing her as a fully realized avatar. As I was just saying with Roku, we don't have to see her master the elements or the avatar state. She's mastered it all. So we get to see her life like that, and I really enjoy that. The one thing I didn't enjoy about the first book was it wasn't fully about her. That man, I don't remember his name, but we were with him almost as much as we were with her, if not sometimes more. And I do see the man on the cover, so I think he's gonna upset me because I want to know about Yang Chen. We have all been before the books. We were like, we want to see her story. We want to see her story. And when we finally get her story, it's not fully hers. That was my full physical TBR, 19 books from A to Z. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You can talk down below about if you've read any of these books, if you love them, if you hate them. Did I inspire you to buy any of these books? I would love to discuss down below. Thank you so much for watching.